So much crypto. There's a lot. We talk about the market right now. The total market valuation of crypto right now, this recording is $1.1 trillion. Keep in mind, just a couple of years ago, it was over $3 trillion and everybody was all excited. If you pay attention to the papers, you're going to hear about crypto's going to go wild. They're saying that by 2024, when we have another halving of Bitcoin, which we'll talk about at a later time, that Bitcoin itself might exceed $100,000 a coin. You don't know. It sounds like smoke being blown by somebody trying to hype up the whole Bitcoin thing, but it might be true. So crypto really is volatile. We're going to talk about some of the reasons why here. There's 9 different types of crypto. Here's a good list of them: utility, security, payment, exchange, those weird non-fungible tokens. We'll spend a whole lesson on that or two. DeFi, stable coins, and just stable coins, I've always been opposed to them until recently, and I'm seeing some changes as to the use and some real possibilities there. Of another session just on stable coins, and then asset-backed tokens and privacy tokens. Keep in mind that as of March 2023, there's 22,904 cryptocurrencies in existence. Discounting the dead cryptos, there's a lot of them. Keep in mind the size number. There's 882 active cryptocurrencies right now. That means an awful lot of them have gone belly up. With that being said, keep in mind every time one is formed, an initial coin offering exists where people go in with dreams and hopes of buying them and making lots of money. And then that whole dream goes down the tubes. You don't have just the founders going down the tubes. You have all the investors that bought the crypto going down the tubes, sometimes with them. Pay attention. Here are the major types: utility, payment, security, stable coins, DeFi, and NFTs. Utilities, it has a special function when you get a utility token that gives you features to a decentralized application that forms the economy of that entire system. These are key if you're going to be getting in on the ground floor in the aspect of what is this doing. You have to really, I would recommend you study it thoroughly to find out exactly what that token is about and what access it gives you. So you'll see utility tokens a lot of times in the metaverse or in the blockchain, especially on a Web3 application. And Web3 is coming very quickly, and it'll be built on blockchain, at least in my opinion. Utility tokens, here's some examples: Polygon, Chainlink, Binance Coin. You'll see Binance mentioned multiple times on different types of tokens. They really have an entire neighborhood of coins, so to speak. But the reality of Binance, be cautious because of the fact that they don't see eye to eye a lot of times with the United States Security and Exchange Commission. So be cautious about that. There always seems to be an investigation going about Binance. And I recommend you pay attention when you buy into that. But all these are big utility tokens. You also have a thing, another one called the user token. It serves a specific function inside that same system, and it's there for payments. You might be in the same system and have a utility token and a payment token, and they're really always used on a Web3 platform. So the payment tokens, they're an alternative to means of payment, the US dollar or the euro, Japanese yen. You'll see that the payment tokens like Bitcoin, they're not legal tender and they're not backed by government, but they have value. So a security token is a form of crypto that has fractions of the assets that have real value, such as equity in a company or real estate in the process. It's an investment asset, so pay attention to them because they actually have real value to them in the aspect of having some type of ownership in an organization. You have a couple of them: SIA funds, BCAP, and also the Science blockchain. They're security tokens that actually give you control inside of a company. Here are stable tokens. A stable coin is a type of crypto that's a digital asset that's supposed to be pegged to a specific asset. A lot of times they're pegged to the dollar. The US dollar is by far the most powerful asset we have on planet Earth. A lot of different countries use the US dollar and they peg their own currency to the US dollar for stability. But here you have a stable coin that pegs itself often to the US dollar as well. And whether it's fiat money or exchange traded commodities, whatever it might be, there's different things they peg on. But the idea is they're putting the value of the stable coin and matching it and try to moderate it to keep it tied to something else. Tether is one of the oldest and the most stable of all the different stable coins. That's one. USD, it's pegged 1-to-1 on the US dollar. When we talk about stable coins later, you'll see that the attempt of this type of coin is to keep it matching the value of the US dollar in the market. Then you have the Binance USD. That's offered on the largest crypto exchange in the world, Binance, Terra USD, and DAI. So pay attention to them. They all try to tie, most of them, to the US dollar, and it really can give you some stability in your cryptocurrency portfolio. DeFi coins, it's a diverse set. They're native, and we talk about native, we talk about the aspect of that particular cryptocurrency. When they have their own coin or their own token, then that coin or token is native to that different application. So pay attention when we heard about native, what that's about. It's really focused on that aspect of smart contracts. That's where users provide a suite of financial applications and services built on the blockchain. DeFi tokens are really going to be a major player in the years to come, especially as we dive further into Web 3.0 and also into the metaverse. They command about a $45 billion market cap, and today that's a small part of the cryptocurrency market. In my opinion, the DeFi tokens will take a much larger position in years to come in market valuation. Here's some of the examples: DAI, Avalanche, Uniswap, Wrapped Bitcoin. You have several out there. The Wrapped Bitcoin mirrors the value of Bitcoin. So pay attention to the background when you buy into that. I always recommend before you buy a cryptocurrency, you read what it's about. So much crypto, you got really the five major ones: utility, payment, security, stablecoins, and DeFi. You have 8,832 active cryptos, but remember, there were 22,900, and the rest are inactive. So much crypto, and by the way, so much risk. Take care.